I just wanted to say hello and welcome to today's event. I'm Rebecca Silverthorne, an International Conversions Officer for Kent Business School. And today we are going to be hearing from some of our amazing academics, some students from the Kent Business School, and learning a little bit more about how Kent builds employability and how the Kent Business School brings employability into our courses. We're going to start off with a small introduction from Steve Robinson, who is our head of recruitment, admissions, and outreach. And then we're going to hear a little bit later from Dr. Sadiq Mohammed, the Associate Dean of Education at Kent Business School. And then we're going to have the chance to hear from some KBS students. So if you have any questions at all, please feel free to put them into the chat or into our Q&A. We will do our best to respond to them throughout the session. So we're going to start off with an introduction to Kent Business School and a kind of look into our programs with Steve Robinson. So I will set it off to him to take it away. Thanks so much, Steve.
Okay, well, thank you for that, Rebecca. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending where you are. My name is Steve Robinson, as the slide says there, and we've only got an hour today with us, but I'm going to spend just 10 minutes of your time giving you a little bit of an introduction to the University of Kent, a little bit about Kent Business School and our programs. I'm a senior lecturer in business and I teach upon some of the postgraduate programs, and I'm also head of student recruitment here, so I can answer your questions depending what those questions are about our programs and about the application process. It's impossible in the time available to go through every one of our fantastic programs in depth. So the idea is to give you an overall flavour, but please, please, please go to our website. You can look up all of our programs. You can look up the structure, the content, the assessment, the details of employability, etc. But I've just got 10 minutes now just to give you a quick introduction to what we do here at Kent Business School. If you're obviously online today. It's a real shame. We have a fantastic campus. That's our Canterbury campus there, top right on the slide. This is a top 10 UK campus. It's fantastic. According to which league table? That's Steve's league table, because I've been to most UK campuses. We're about 50 minutes from London, and virtually most, at least, of our postgraduate programs are based up there in Canterbury. We have a couple on our Medway campus, which is in the historic dockyard, but the majority of our programs are based on this beautiful campus just outside Canterbury, where most postgraduates live. If you don't know anything about the University of Kent, well, we have around 20,000 students. In terms of UK universities, that's about slightly bigger than average. We're not too big, we're not too small. We have a nice Goldilocks kind of size with around 20,000. The business school is the largest school within the university. We have about 10% of the total of students, which is around 2,000, of which we recruit between 400 to 500 postgraduates every year. We are, as you see there, a triple accredited business school. I'm sure most of you know what that means. If you don't, we have that external validation from the three most important validators at the bottom there: Amber, AACSB, and Equus. That puts us in the top 1% of business schools worldwide. So when you come to the University of Kent and Kent Business School, you could be assured of the quality of your teaching, the quality of your courses, and also the quality of the co-curricular content as well, the sort of things we're going to be talking today about in terms of employability. We're top 20 in the UK for business and management. In fact, we're 19th. We offer fantastic employability aspects, our Aspire Centre, and Dr. Mohammed will tell you more about some aspects here. In the most recent REF, we saw 80% of our research as world leading or internationally excellent. And our mission, what is our mission? Our main mission is to develop you, the next generation of responsible leaders and entrepreneurs. That is our main focus. And to that end, We have a firm commitment to the UN 17 Sustainable Goals. You may not have heard of these, possibly you have, but what you will find if you come to Kent Business School is that sprinkled throughout your programme are different aspects of these particular goals. So they are embedded in the curriculum. It doesn't mean every subject covers all 17. It means you will find you will come across many of these in your studies. I'm not going to read all 17 out because we haven't got enough time, but I'm sure you'll have seen such things as climate action, poverty relief, the need for water access around the world. And this is not only part of your degree, but you can get involved in events, you can get involved in research, and you can get involved in other campus activities while you're here. When you're going to be a postgraduate, many years ago, a long time ago, when I was a postgraduate, the first question you have to ask yourself is, do you really want to be studying your undergraduate degree in more depth? Or would you like to branch out in a newer, perhaps brand new area or associated area? That's the key thing. Do you want to proceed with your undergraduate program, perhaps specialize more, be more focused, or something new and different? Here at Kent Business School, we offer both opportunities. All of our master's degrees are available with an international incorporated master's, which is IIM. This can prepare you if your grades aren't strong enough or you need further English support. This can prepare you over 1 or 2 terms before you start. Most students don't need to do this, but if you feel you do need to do it, you can come and join us on campus and do that before you start. Our postgraduate courses are just 12 months in length. They incorporate a number of authentic assessments. What does authentic assessments mean? It basically means that these are real life, appropriate case study based assessments related to tasks, related to topics that you might have to do once you've qualified and are looking for a job. There's an option in the late summer to take part in live consultancies. Many of our programs also offer a 12-month placement and the opportunity to do a 2 to 4 week study trip as well. We have outstanding English language support. You need IELTS 6 or equivalent to join the postgraduate program. And when you do graduate, hopefully in sort of summer 2026, when you do graduate in late summer 2026, if you're based in Canterbury, you graduate from Canterbury Cathedral, or if you're based up in Medway, it's Rochester Cathedral. There's a huge list of what we do here. Oh my goodness, this is overwhelming. And as I said, you have to decide whether you really want to do your undergraduate subject in more depth, or would you rather do something completely new? This is a bit of an overwhelming list, so we sort of break it down into themes for you. If your interest is in analytics, operations and systems, are you interested in doing business analysis? Maybe global logistics, supply chain management, strategic project management. If this is where you see your future lying in terms of interpreting business data, in terms of analyzing business data, project management, looking at supply chains, procurement, business optimization, then these are the degrees you should be looking at. We have strong links with the Port of Dover and the Eurostar. So there's all sorts of aspects there if that's the future. Many jobs in this area going forward. Perhaps you're more interested in accounting, finance, investment risk. We have 4 programs in this general area. So if you're interested in corporate finance, portfolio management, investment analysis, the combination of finance and economics, we have 4 degrees that are similar but different. They have overlapping modules, but they have their own identity as well. So if you see yourself working in financial services, investment banking, insurance, finance, then one of these programs could be the one for you. They're quite quantitative, so you'll need strong quantitative skills, but this could be an area for you, particularly if you've done undergraduate degrees in business, economics, maybe even things like engineering, something with a strong quantitative element. But particularly if you're looking for a financial asset, career-based job, looking at stocks, shares, options, unit trusts, insurance, this sort of thing. If you feel that you're on the particular creative side that want to go into things like marketing, um, uh, uh, different areas of digital marketing, international business and management. Maybe you're interested in advertising, marketing communications, possibly business to business marketing, looking at web page development in terms of the marketing aspect, then this could well be for you. We have international business and management. This is a very popular degree, particularly for our international students, but also marketing and digital marketing for students that have perhaps done an undergraduate degree in business and want to focus now more in marketing. Maybe you've done something completely different. Maybe you've done a degree in geography or French or German or something, and you want a business career and you have an interest in marketing, marketing communication, advertising, those sorts of areas. So a big popular part of the program portfolio that we offer as well. Last but not least, we also have leadership and management. So if you see yourself in the management area, that could be in global healthcare in the public sector and or the private sector, healthcare management, maybe HRM. You want to work in sort of what used to be called personal development and personnel, but now HRM management. This is available part-time as well. So you can break down the different aspects of our degrees into 4 key themes. On top of that, if you've got at least 3 years experience, then you can do our AMBER accredited MBA. We are looking at students who are a little bit older. They've had 3 years experience. Perhaps they've become a supervisor, a middle manager, maybe a senior manager in their career, and they want to take their career that step further. All of our degrees have professional recognition. This does not cost you any more money. It is not any more work, but they are embedded in the degree. So you're getting this external validation whilst you're studying your degree. We generally look for a good 2-2. That's our general requirement here, a general 2-2 from your undergrad or equivalent from your undergraduate degree. We expect, as I said earlier on, an IELTS 6 overall or equivalent from other types of English language providers. You need also at this stage a reference, your most recent academic studies, a reference from them, the current or most recent, and a fairly brief personal statement. If you're going to do an MBA, the actual application process requires a little bit more because you have to provide a more detailed CV as well. But basically the key entry requirement we want for most of our postgraduate taught programs is the fact that you're going to achieve a second-class UK degree or equivalent. We have a number of scholarships available. Again, I haven't got time to go into all of these, but you can look up your eligibility. If you're an overseas student, then you can get up to £5,000 off. You don't have to apply for this. That's fantastic, but you could be eligible, and you can look up this little link here. Perhaps Rebecca can also put the link in the chat, maybe there as well, to look at our Kent Future Student Scholarship. There are other scholarships available to do with the Excellence Awards, to do with India Women in Scholarship, in Leadership Scholarship, and other general ones. The general link is at the bottom. So there's a wide variety of scholarships available, but in particular, I would say check out your eligibility for the International Student Scholarship for, Kent Future. We also have just developed and gone live the KBS applicant webpage. So you can land on this webpage and you can book one-to-one chats from this webpage with the Director of Study of the program you are thinking of joining. That's fantastic. You can look at the things that make us unique. You can look at our facilities, which are also brilliant. You can hear from our graduates and see what happens next. So have a look, check out this KBS applicant website. It's got more information on there as well. Now, I've zoomed through. Apologies for how fast I've been going. I don't like going so fast, but I've got to fit a lot in the time available. So I've just gone over my 10 minutes, so please forgive me. There's time now for more questions, as well as questions at the end. But hopefully that's given you a very, very, very quick overview of some of the things that we offer here at University of Kent and Kent Business School. Rebecca, I zoomed through there, so I understand it's all a lot to take in for everybody listening, but maybe there's some questions at this juncture, or shall we move on?
Amazing. Thank you so much, Steve. That was great. Really appreciate going through kind of what programs are and kind of how we can support our students. We did have one question come up regarding the kind of partnerships that KBS has, and Sadiq has expanded on that in the comments. I don't know if you have anything else to add to that, but saying that KBS students are currently on placements at Cummins, Johnson & Johnson, NatQuest, P&G, etc. They're indeed companies who KBS works with and who are students every year for placements. Yeah, I don't know if you have anything to add to that.
No, that's
Steve,
right. I echo Sadiq's point there. The different contacts we have are very much program specific. So different programs will have contacts, case studies, guest speakers according to the particular type of degree content there's coverage in. So the finance programs have guest speakers that work in those sort of areas. The marketing programs have guest speakers from those particular areas. I mentioned in my little talk, we've got long-standing connections with the Port of Dover. And if people aren't aware of that, that's the world's busiest passenger port and freight port, which is just down the coast from us. And also Eurostar, which is a famous train company that operates between the UK and France. So those are two good classic ongoing relationships, as well as each course has its own relationships as well.
Amazing. Yes, amazing partnerships. And I'm sure we will get into that a little bit more in this session and in some of our future sessions. Yeah, thank you so much, Steve. And thank you for providing us with all your knowledge and wisdom. If we have any other questions for Steve in the chat, feel free to add. We do have one question come up about the international student scholarships, the process for considering international students, what factors will be important. I believe that will be dependent on the specific scholarships available for our I think most of the. So I'm just checking on the. I don't know.
No, you're right,
you have
Rebecca.
Different
scholarships, if I just chip in very briefly, different scholarships have different eligibility criteria. So it's hard to give a general answer other than over and above the fact that many of them look for where you're domiciled, your academic track record. They're the two key things to look at, as well as other extracurricular experience or work experience you've had. I can only generalize because each scholarship has different eligibility and factors that they look at in awarding those scholarships, which is why I emphasize going to the general links on scholarships, because each one are a little different. It's a very good question. I think if in doubt, one should always highlight your academic track record, any sort of professional or work experience that you might have had, and any other sort of relevant industry-wide experience or co-curricular studies or other aspects of your academic journey to date that you think are important. But please look on the scholarships webpage, because the eligibility criteria and the factors that determine a particular award of a scholarship are clarified there.
Amazing. Thanks, Steve. We do have a few questions as well about our placements and shedding some light on how it works, how students can make the best of it, and how we support students in securing a placement. Maybe Dr. Sadiq Mohammed could handle some of those questions.
Sure. Thanks, Rebecca, and hello, everyone. In terms of finding and successfully securing a placement, the support looks like this. When you arrive here at KBS, your course will include, yes, professional placement, and that will be a trigger for our careers and employability service to get in touch with you and start outlining the support that we offer. They will start highlighting to you, these are the places you can look for opportunities that are being advertised. These are events you should be going to in order to meet with employers or to get the best out of training for assessment centers, because those come up very quickly. Or these are one-to-one sessions that you should be booking with our careers advisors. So they put you on a firm track to be able to get the placement that you might want. The question I get asked very often is, how many students actually get a placement? And the answer I give is always students who work at getting a placement always get one. It's often the case that students are not as proactive as they should be in terms of looking out for placements or making the most of opportunities that are available from the career service. And this is for a variety of reasons, but we embed, and I'm going to talk quite a lot about this, a lot of support and activities for getting a placement. So what I would say to you is, if you are making the most of those opportunities in and outside your curriculum, then you shouldn't have much of a problem.
Amazing. Thank you, Sadiq. And with that, maybe we can segue into your section of the presentation. I think this would be a good place to talk a little bit more about employability in the business school. And maybe some more of the questions in the chat will be supported through this. So Dr. Sadiq Mohammed, our Associate Dean of Education, and will provide some context on how these courses work and how they bring employability into every component.
Thanks, Rebecca. So I would just like everybody to join me on a bit of interactivity, if that's all right. So get your phones out, scan this QR code, and or head to vvox.app and enter that particular session ID. Everybody feel free to join. Don't be a stickler. Get involved, get engaged, because I'm going to ask some questions as we go. Don't worry, there's no marks for it. Or are there? You'll see. But I would like to ask some questions and get some feedback from all of you on how you are feeling in terms of employability in the curriculum, right? And what we should be doing in order to embed it or to look for it. So my first question, just to take the temperature, just to understand how everybody's doing and what's going on. What's your biggest career-related concern at the moment? Are you worried about, let's say, your interview skills? Are you concerned about having to compete with others? Are you concerned about not being sure what the right qualifications are? Are you worried about navigating the job market and knowing where to look? What are your concerns? Let's take a few minutes, or let's take a second, think about it, write something down. There's no wrong answer, but a brief answer would be great. Okay, I'm seeing 4 answers in. Anybody else? And thank you. If you're not able to jump into VVox for whatever reason, please do feel free to type it in the chat. That's not a problem. Okay, I'm just going to move on, but think about the question. What are we worried about in terms of our career futures, right? So let's see what we're looking at in terms of answers. So I've got really big and bold interview skills, right? This is quite a concern. I appreciate that. It is tough to know how to act in an interview, what to do. It's difficult to be able to deal with psychometric tests. That's concerning as well. Being contacted back is very difficult. You know, A lot of our graduates, a lot of our current students tell me that they're applying for a lot of jobs and they're not hearing back, and that can be discouraging. You might need a bit of resilience to be able to work through that, or having the right experience, whether that's in terms of work experience or just that comfortability and familiarity in an interview context, right? Thank you all for chiming in, right? What I want to do today is talk about how KBS embeds or tries to address this issue of employability in the curriculum. I see more answers coming in, whether that's in terms of roles to look for or getting tier 2 visa jobs. All of these are big concerns, right? But we try, as we go through your degree, your study here, to embed employability into the curriculum. And I want to make sure that when you leave today, you understand all of the ways in which we try to do that. But first, I have another question. When we talk about employability, we might have really general questions to ask, right? Does a degree actually make me more employable? I think it does. That's why I'm here. But you may have questions for yourself, right? Is employability just about skills? Who's actually responsible? Is it you as an individual, or are there other stakeholders involved? Your family, your friends, your parents, the employer, all of these things. But the more basic question that I have to ask is just, what is employability? So I've got a question. If I asked you to define or describe employability, how would you actually do it? If you're still logged into Vivox, you should be able to see that there's a multiple choice question. Again, there's no marks for this, not yet anyway. But how would you define employability? Would you define it as just being good at interviewing? Would you define it as having inbuilt skills to be attractive to employers? Would you define it as having qualifications that are right for a job? Would you define it as having evidence of work experience, or none of the above? What would you go for? I've got 9 answers so far. Anybody else want to jump in? 12. 13. I'll give it 5 more seconds. 4, 3, 2. Okay, let's see. Okay, so everyone, or most people, think that employability is mostly about having the right qualifications that an employer is interested in for any given job, right? And thank you to those who've been adding your answers to the chat as well, right? This seems to be the consensus. It's about qualifications, right? What I'm going to suggest to you is that the correct answer is actually E, none of the above. And here's why. The way we think about employability in KBS is that it's not just about the qualification you have. That is important, and you will see job adverts asking for courses that have a master's, or applicants that have a master's degree. It's not just about the experience you have, although you will see job adverts asking for a specific minimum amount of work experience. But let's assume you have all of that, right? You are still competing for jobs with others. And so what is employability in that context? Here at KBS, we believe it's a mixture of 3 things. 1, your intrinsic characteristics, right? What skills do you have? What behaviors do you have? Yeah, it's a mix of that and the extrinsic characteristics. So what is going on in the labor market? To give you a bit of an example, if you are the best basket weaver in the country, but there is no demand for basket weaving, nobody's hiring basket weavers at the moment, you're not going to be particularly employable, right? So in that case, you might need to balance it out with number 3. some element of entrepreneurialism, right? Maybe you create your own basket weaving business. We believe that this is also a key part of employability. It's that self-reliance, that resilience, that self-starting behavior to be able to showcase to an employer, to a market, how the skills that you've picked up are relevant, are important, right? So we believe employability is a mix of these things, and we try to develop that in you as graduates. So we keep, as I will go on to explain, embedding relevant skills. We keep an eye on the labor market so that we are preparing you for careers that are going to be relevant to you and available. And we support you in developing entrepreneurial skills, right? And I think the message of employability is very often about skills is something I would like you to take away. Here in the UK, the Institute of Directors did a big survey last year of 400 major business leaders. And in summarizing it, they highlighted that the problem they face as employers is not that there are people applying with not enough work experience or people applying with not the right qualifications, but it was that people were applying without the right skills. Simple skills around communication or critical thinking or being reliable were missing from their applicants. This is the feedback that they gave, right? Now, having said that, let's just take our own temperature. What do you think are some of the key skills that employers are looking for in graduates? What do you think are the key things that they're interested in? So I hope you didn't close your VVox poll because it's still open. I'm going to drop the link back in the chat again. Poll's open. Take a second. What do you think are the key skills that an employer might be looking for? What do you think? What key things would set you apart from another applicant? One word, one skill, one key idea. Got 7 responses in. Anyone else want to jump in? 8. Yeah, I got problem solving in the chat. Thank you for that. 12. I'm going to give it 10 more seconds. 3, 2, 1. Let's see what we got. I've got big one for problem solving skills, right? Apparently, this is something we think is quite important, and the data bears that out. Employers are looking for people who are really interested or really capable in terms of being able to solve complex problems, right? Leadership is a good one. I think there's a lot of different versions of communication or communication skills. That is a big one. A lot of employers are struggling with people who can communicate well, who can be confident and speak out in terms of when they have challenges. I've got different versions of team working as well. I think that is a key skill, certainly, where employers are looking for. I'm interested in this one, resilience, for reasons that will become obvious in a second. But also, I think agility is a very good one. This is, I think, borne out. It's also reflected in adaptability. Yeah, employers are looking for people who can tolerate change. We live in such a rapidly evolving business climate at the moment that you can't be sitting there going, gosh, I don't really like all of this change that's happening. We're restructuring again. I can't tolerate it. I must run. No, they're looking for people who are resilient, who can abide that kind of complexity, right? Good, thank you. That's actually my last question for a little bit. So thank you all for participating. Employers are looking for a lot of different skills, right? McKinsey pulled together a big list of different skills that they call their 56 deltas, based on what they think employers are looking for. And this is a lot. Like, you look at it and you think, gosh, am I supposed to have cognitive, interpersonal, self-leadership and digital skills in order to get employed? This is a huge undertaking, right? But we here at KBS and the University of Kent have boiled this down into what we call 7 graduate attributes, right? We communicate to employers, to you as applicants, and to our colleagues that these are 7 things that we are trying to develop in our students, whether that's through our assessments, through how we design the course, through general life on campus and things that we are involved in. We are trying to develop and grow these capabilities in our students because we think these are skills that our employers are looking for. And we work with them consistently to get feedback on the best way to do this, right? So whether that's confidence, being able to show up at an interview and speak confidently about what you've learned, what you've developed, whether that's creativity in terms of problem solving, being able to think critically and reflect on your experiences, being able to be a part of a global community and understand that people come from different walks of life and they have different beliefs or ways of doing things, being accountable and having some integrity. I think we can all open the business news and see the need for some of that at the moment. Having a kind of intellectual curiosity which feeds into problem solving, right? And having a sense of resilience. These are, I think, important areas that align to the expectations of our accrediting bodies. So the AACSB, we work with them as a key accrediting body for business schools, and we communicate to them that our students all leave here with communication skills, with data skills, with, yes, subject knowledge so that they can get the job that they're looking for, but also a sense of a global perspective, also a sense of ethics and being responsible and accountable for the decisions you make as a manager, right? These are, I think, key things that we try and cultivate in our curriculum. And we do that not just in terms of what we teach, but how we assess, right? One of the key ways that we put employability into our curriculum is through what we call authentic assessments. KBS is shifting at the moment away from traditional modes of assessments like exams towards what we think are more authentic ways of assessing, right? So for the next academic year, we are redeveloping a lot of our assessments to be more focused on what we think and feedback we've gotten from employers, what we know you will be asked to do in the workplace. This is, I think, a really exciting thing for us in terms of how we assess, how we evaluate, and how we use assessments to build up skills, right? We know, for example, what kind of assessments you get asked to do at assessment centers for big companies. So we have shifted our group projects, our group presentations to mirror that style of assessment so that when you go there, you have experienced it. This is not new for you. You aren't surprised. Similarly, we're changing our assessments in our degrees to look at things like, okay, well, you're doing an MSc Business Analytics. Can we, instead of asking you to just write an essay, actually ask you to do some simulation modeling? If you're doing your MSc in marketing, can we ask you to do a group vlog documenting some consumer behavior instead of writing a report? Can we ask you to write an advisory piece on sustainable investment strategy if you're doing MSc Finance? Can we ask you to identify some challenges in your health service if you're doing global healthcare and outline plans for improvement? This is how we're looking to assess in the future. And I think it is a much more impactful way of assessing that should hopefully lead our students to be better prepared for the world of work. In addition to assessments, we're also looking to add more high value activity into the curriculum. We do this already, but we are looking to do it more. So we currently embed activities like field trips, guest speakers, or live company projects where we get in local businesses to say, this is a problem that I have. Can you help me solve it? And students will pitch back a solution to that employer. Here we can see our MSc marketing students went to Horizon of Khufu, where they had a virtual reality experience. VR is going to become, I think, something interesting for marketing. Ella might say some more about that. She's one of our students. She's in the picture. We also have guest speakers fairly regularly on our program because we know that our students want to hear from industry. They want to hear from other perspectives so they can network, so they can meet people. A guest speaker comes in, you add them on LinkedIn. They're posting about jobs 2 weeks later, you can apply. These are the kinds of connections we try to foster for our students. A local business or a local museum like the Turner Contemporary is having problems with reaching out to young people. Well, they come to us and we ask our students who are in the target demographic to come up with some ideas to pitch back to the museum and say, these are what we think might work. We do these kinds of things very regularly on our courses because we think that they offer opportunities for our students to have more impactful experiences in terms of their learning. Last thing I want to talk about, that last area of entrepreneurialism. So KBS has or is home to Aspire, so the accelerator space for innovation and responsible enterprise. Aspire runs and supports events and activities to help students who might be minded to start a business to get that business off the ground, right? They run a series of workshops that cover everything from how do you identify a gap in the market to how do you build an app to how do you set up a website, very practically focused things that help potential students to build up their own business idea, right? Some of our students have taken up opportunities for mentoring from entrepreneurs who we hire and keep in residence to start their own business successfully, right? So this is also there as an opportunity for you if you are so entrepreneurially minded, or even if you aren't, to participate in the business startup journey anyway and develop those skills because they are very valuable, right? It's not just KBS though. We also collaborate with the Central Careers and Employability Service, who are constantly organizing events. I talked about them earlier in terms of the placement year, and they are there as well. They will offer one-to-one support and mentoring, or they will put on careers fairs. They're always getting companies to come into the business school and set up a stall to talk to our students. You can see here we have PwC. Here we have a number of different companies at Employability Fest. Here we have a pop-up for some of our students who have started small businesses selling their things in the business school. So all of these kinds of things are there. And if your main concern with your employability is around writing CVs or cover letters or training for interviews or psychometric tests, then they run these continuously throughout the year. We advertise them on a constant basis. Students get involved. Some of them go to more than one just to get a handle on it, just to get the experience, right? So these are all forms of employability support that are available to you as students in the business school. That's everything I wanted to say. So the journey in terms of employability for you as a student looks different for everybody, right? For some of you, you will mostly work as part of your degree on live company briefs or with guest speakers, etc. Some of you will go to careers fairs. Some of you will take opportunities to study abroad. Some of you will do a professional placement. Some of you will be involved in Aspire. Some of you will take a lot of opportunity to engage with the career service. It looks slightly different for everyone, right? But no matter what your journey looks like, you will still have a lot of opportunities to engage and develop your skills as part of your student journey, right? So I hope that's what you take away from today. If there are any questions, please do get in touch. You can email KBS admissions, and our colleagues will be able to help you with any admissions related queries that you have. But if you have any questions for me now, I'm happy to answer.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Sadiq. That was very thorough. Appreciated the little interactive portion there. I feel like learned a lot about what the chat really cares about in terms of employability and opportunities. Yeah, so this is kind of our chance to answer any questions. If you have any questions, please feel free to put them into the chat or into our little Q&A section. We also have our two lovely KBS students who can talk a little bit more about their experiences. Thought maybe we could jump on that point you made earlier about some of the field trips and opportunities. I thought that would be kind of cool to expand upon, including Ella, I think, had potentially gone on one of those adventures. Maybe we could talk a little bit more about what that experience is like. Yeah, Ella, if you would want to come on chat and maybe tell us a little bit about your program and how you found the kind of field trip and more experiential, I guess, components within the program.
Yeah, so hello, I'm Ella. I'm currently studying MSc Marketing. So I did go on the field trip, which was kind of a VR experience. I thought it was amazing. I've never experienced anything like it before. It was kind of a fully immersive experience with a VR headset and had a kind of sound built in as well into ancient Egypt. And the idea was that potentially in the future it could be used in marketing for shopping experiences. So perhaps maybe even if you're building a house and you want to see like how your new kitchen could look, you could physically step into your kitchen and see like the options for buying and that kind of thing. So I thought it was amazing, and I'd definitely go back and do their other experiences.
Awesome. That's so cool. And I was wondering, Sadiq, if maybe you could expand on, you were talking about like pitches and kind of opportunities for students to talk or pitch their ideas directly to businesses. Is that something that most of the programs offer? Could you expand a little bit more on kind of what those kind of course program projects are like?
Sure. So the majority of our programs have this kind of activity embedded, but additionally, they also have large substantive challenge modules that occur in the late summer term, where this is the idea. A company will come in, they will say, this is the problem that I have. And students will have to work with groups of their fellow students to come up with a solution and pitch it back to the business. This can be very challenging because you may come up with a solution and the business doesn't like it. Or you may come up with a solution, they think it's amazing, which would be great for you and for them. But we try to embed these things both into our ordinary modules and into these large challenge modules that are happening in the summer so that everyone gets a chance to do them at some point in their studies.
Awesome. Amazing. Do we know if any students have had the opportunity to like have their ideas realized?
Yeah, I think in the past, where businesses have liked the solutions, they've taken them forward and implemented them. So again, these kinds of things are really impactful for you as a student to be able to say, you know, I had some real world impact during my studies.
Oh, cool. Oh, amazing. Okay, we have some questions that have popped up in the chat. Decision. Okay, we have one that's maybe a little bit more admissions focused. Maybe we can answer in the chat, or we can pull to forward to our KBS admissions team. We have a question about in-person open hours at the Career Services office, where we can step in and get support, or should we book an appointment in advance? I believe there are opportunities to have one-on-one if you want to maybe touch on that, Sadiq. But I believe there are opportunities there. Yeah.
I think the career service tend to put it bluntly, KBS students make a lot of use of the career service. So it's always a good idea to book in advance just to make sure you have a slot confirmed for you, right? So I think always a good idea, book in advance, speak to a careers advisor, book onto the events, book onto any of these kinds of things, and just get involved as a student, right?
Amazing. Yes, and we may have some future sessions where we talk a little bit more with the employability team directly. So stay tuned for some more of our KBS events coming up. We also have a question to our current students. Could you speak a bit about apprenticeship or part-time opportunities within the university or anything related to this? I don't know if either of you have some experience with working part-time or kind of exploring working through apprenticeships or opportunities like that. Yeah, Ella or Sarush, if you have any experiences with doing any employability opportunities kind of during your studies or on the side of your studies.
To be honest, I haven't had any experience related to this question, so maybe Ella is the better person for answering that.
Fair enough.
I would say similarly, I haven't personally had much of an experience, but I will say that Kent Job Shop, which I don't know if you'd be able to link, I don't know if people can have a look, but that's a really great way of seeing any opportunities that will come up. You can work in the co-op on campus, you can work with the student union as well, and with Job Shop, there are also opportunities posted within Canterbury City Centre, so it's not all to do with jobs on campus. There are also jobs nearby, so there's a lot of opportunities for part-time work there as well.
Amazing. Great point, Ella. And I did pop that into the chat as well. Yeah, I think the job shop is definitely a great spot where we can also have opportunities for students to come into sessions like these and support us with kind of opportunities with recruitment and admissions events, as well as you were saying, external Kent related or outside of the university events. I see if we have any other questions in the chat. Or maybe we could also, I think we had a question about with potentially working with, maybe this is again directed more to, well, it could go to students or Sadiq, just talking about what kind of programs and software students are working with within their courses, and are they using and working with programs and software that's kind of related to the industry, or how do they feel like, I don't know, in gaining those tools for working in the industry?
Yeah, sure. So this comes back to the sort of basket weaving joke that I made while I was speaking, because we try to embed programs and software that we think are industry relevant, that are practical, etc., into our courses. So as an example, if you're studying MSc Business Analytics, we try to teach you in languages that are current, relevant. So we try to teach you in Python and Julia, so that you are aware of what is happening in industry, what are people actually using, whether that's using those kinds of contemporary languages or just being able to build your visualization in Power BI, which is extremely popular at the moment, right? So Yes, we try to embed into the program these kinds of softwares or platforms that are relevant for you. Again, like if you're doing project management at the moment, we try to embed using monday.com so that you are using a platform that people in industry are using for project management, right? These are simple things that we are trying to do to make sure that when you graduate, you're ready for the world of work.
Amazing. Thanks, Eek. Maybe Sarush, if you want to, do you have any, could you talk a little bit maybe about also introduce your program? I realize I don't think we had the chance to, and maybe what kind of projects you do within your course?
We have different projects related to different modules that actually we had. For example, in our big data analytics module, we were working on sentiment analysis, and we were working on how can we extract a really meaningful information out of the really big data sets, like Amazon reviews data sets, which are a really massive, large data, and it's really hard to handle this kind of data because of the resources limitations. But with using a new and modern methods and technologies that they taught us in our modules, we learned how to handle such a thing. Or for example, in our machine learning module, our project was all about creating a model which is able to predict how much an insurance company is going to claim you after you have a car accident, based on different factors, like how many people and how many third parties are actually involved on that accident, how much is the severity of injury for the people who are actually involved. And that was also amazing. Also, in simulation part, our project was about the diabetic center. So we were trying to simulate the diabetic center process and see where are the bottlenecks, and how in which part of the center they are facing some problems, and how can we make the conditions better for them so they can just improve and make the model a little bit more optimized. So, for example, reducing the service time for the patients who are actually coming to the diabetes centers, which I found it really practical, because I think this kind of stuff in are really necessary for us as a business analyst to know and use them practically in the job market these days. Also, we learned how to use softwares like Simulate, different machine learning methods with Python. Not only with Python, we also learned how to implement all of them with SPSS software, which is really famous for this industry. And yeah, and that's it, I think.
Amazing. Thank you. And just to clarify, as you did have someone ask in the chat, your current program is business analytics? Yes.
Yes.
Okay, cool. So we have MSc Business Analytics, and Ella, your MSc Marketing. Perfect. Amazing. Thank you so much. We had a question in the chat that said, curious to know which one you are in. So just wanted to clarify. We did have a question here about the sponsored skills worker visa after the MSc program. I think we've had some questions about also working as an international student, both during and after the program. I don't know if Sadiq, you have something you can speak on there, but I also will make sure to forward this to our admissions team if we need some more.
Yeah, I think my colleagues will pass that one to admissions to be able to answer most accurately. But it looks like there's one on extracurriculars in the chat.
Oh, perfect. Yes. Yeah. If Ella or Swoosh, if you want to maybe talk a little bit about extracurricular activities that you do within your time. Kent has, KBS has like so many like student groups and events and Kent Sports. I feel like there's a lot we can talk about. If maybe you want to talk, we'll start with Ella about what kind of stuff you do that's a little more chill and relaxing that you can do outside of class.
So I'd say Kent offers so many different extracurriculars. A really great way of learning about these is the Sports and Societies Fair that happens at the start of the year. That's a great way to find out about every different society and sport you can get involved with. There's things that you probably wouldn't have even thought about. But I'd say as well, obviously we've spoken about how beautiful the Canterbury campus is, and even just having a walk around and grabbing a coffee from Cafe Nero on campus is a really great way to unwind after class. I've also walked the Crab and Winkle path, which goes from the campus to Whitstable, I believe, and that's a really nice walk. It's kind of like a day's activity, but yeah, to go to the seaside, you can walk it, and that's a really lovely pedestrianised path. And also, it's worth mentioning if you do live on campus, you get a free membership for the leisure centre / gym on campus. So that includes the classes and the gym anytime you want to go. That's completely free as part of your accommodation fees. So that's a really great way to kind of unwind as well, I'd say.
Amazing. Yeah. Also very cool. I know that Crab and Winkle Walk is on my list of activities to do. It looks like a lovely little meander. I've put the links to the Kent Sport and the clubs and societies, and then maybe we can, Suresh, if you have anything you want to add about some of the extracurricular things that you do in your spare time.
Well, I'm not a really gym person, but I know there is a free gym membership there. But the thing that is really good for me is that we have a really good cinema in our university. Only we have a lot of music practice rooms that you can just book in a room and just go there and play your piano. And also we have drums, which made me to start learning how to play drums when I just came here. And also, we have a really good venue which has a really good events. Basically, I think every week or every 2 weeks they have a cultural event, I think, and the atmosphere is really good in there. And the campus is really nice and it's really safe. And this is a really important factor, I think, for the international students who are just coming from another country to new country. And I think a lot of families may being worried about the security of the safetyness of their children. And I think our university is really safe place, and it's really good place for just being there for a while and being all alone by yourself.
Thank you for that. I feel like that's a comforting addition to expansion on the question there. And yeah, I think, are you talking about the Gulbenkian in terms of the music center? Yeah, it's very good movies and I think some theater and presentation stuff. I also put a link to that in the chat. All right. I think we are at we've passed our 10:30 mark, so we are running a little bit over. If we do have any other questions, we have one more. Oh, we have a couple more. Perfect. And then we'll try and answer maybe these last two, and then we'll have to wrap up, unfortunately. But as I said, you can always email us at kbsadmissions at kent.ac.uk. I'll put that in the chat so you don't have to copy that. And you can always email us directly at KBS. So we do have a question about, do students from different programs share classes, or does the classroom typically consist of students from only one program? We have.
I'll take that one very quickly, Rebecca. So
okay.
It very much depends on the program, as our students on MSc Marketing and MSc Digital Marketing and Analytics share some common knowledge. They will have some shared modules. Similarly, our business analytics and our logistics courses might share some common modules focused on their areas, but our modules aren't generally open. It's not going to be the case that you are a MSc Finance student doing modules with a MSc HRM student. It's not like that. It's cognate areas that may share some courses. And then I will also take the last one that's in the chat. Could you throw some light on exposure we'll get when it comes to global healthcare management? Will there be any hospital we'll be associated with? So we work closely with local NHS trusts, but there's not a specific hospital that you're associated with. Our approach to healthcare management is very much focused on the management side, because we know that many of our applicants are coming to us from the healthcare field already. Many of our students are from previous work, etc., in the healthcare area. So our focus is on developing that knowledge that they have of the healthcare sector towards more managerial roles that they might want to climb into or occupy, right?
Thanks so much, Sadiq. And I think that's all of our questions for today. If we didn't get to your question, or if you have some more questions afterwards, as we said, please email us. You can email us kbsadmissions@kent.ac.uk. Maria, my colleague, has put this lovely email in the chat. And yeah, if you want to have an opportunity to chat more with maybe your director of studies, or hear more from one of our teams, you can also check out, as I think I linked this before, but our applicants page, the Kent Business School applicants page, has the links to meet with some of our academics if you have some more questions about your courses, programs. And yeah, thank you so much to Steve for introducing us to KBS, to Sadiq for really delving into employability at Kent Business School, and to Ella and Sarush for providing us with some student experience. And thank you to my colleague Maria for supporting us in the chat with so many of the questions and technical aspects. I want to thank you all for joining us today, and again, keep an eye on the Kent Business School What's On page for other events. We'll probably be reaching out to you via email as well for our next monthly event, where we have some more opportunities to talk about different employability options at Kent Business School and how we support our students. Thank you so much for coming, and have a great rest of your day or night or whatever time it is where you are. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.